Radio. This is your host, Taoist JC, and February recap is hot off the press. These come out the second Tuesday of every month, so I encourage you to check out the blog post as we run the ZetaRadio today. We're going to recap the first 30 days of ZetaChain Mainnet beta, and we got a bunch of contributors and ecosystem partners that will join us over the next hour or so. I just want to kick off with some top stats from the monthly recap. So 1 million registered users on Zeta Hub. This is the gateway into the ZetaChain network and dApp ecosystem. That is hub.zetachain.com if you're not already on there, and we'll talk more about long-term product vision. 1.8 million users on ZetaChain network. So that's 800,000 users, not yet on Zeta Hub, but what's cool is that they belong to third-party projects that are deploying on ZetaChain, and a really solid start to the dev ecosystem that we'll build on this year. And then collectively, more than 35 million transactions on ZetaChain and 500,000 cross-chain transactions. Cross-chain connectivity is what makes ZetaChain the omni-chain blockchain special, and we'll talk more about what's possible today and looking to scale that number with useful cross-chain dApps going forward. And then lastly, 30 million Zeta claimed in Zeta Hub by eligible testnet users. So pretty much everyone converted onto Mainnet, 99.9% conversion onto Mainnet, which is really awesome. And then other big highlights you'll find in the recap. So huge presence at ETH Denver this year, and a lot of attendees described it as the biggest event ever, and so much energy in the crypto community at ETH Denver. And we played a big role with our Bitcoin party. Thank you, Satoshi, whoever you are. Had over 1,000 people jam-packed in a bar celebrating Bitcoin, but also what ZetaChain makes possible with Bitcoin apps, which we'll get into. And then through the biggest summit event ever, Omni-Chain Day, thousands of people came to this side event just a couple blocks from ETH Denver conference. We had an Omni-Chain bus bringing people back and forth, and we had partners on panels and doing keynotes on all sorts of multi-chain topics, and it was a lot of fun, and all of that is recorded and live on YouTube, as well as the main stage talks at ETH Denver, the Zeta Hackathon ceremony, and a bunch of other stuff. So other updates you'll hear directly from our contributors and ecosystem partners. We have product and DevX leads on the panel, and then a bunch of cool projects building on ZetaChain, Zeta Earn, Weave6, Bionomy, who, by the way, just integrated ZetaChain a couple hours ago, and biggest wallet provider in the crypto industry, Trust Wallet. And then we'll hear a quick word from Ruben, head of ZetaChain Philippines, to wrap us up. So without further ado, we have Brandon and Dennis leading product and developer experience, respectively. Hey guys, how's it going?
Hey, yeah, excited to be here.
Doing great.
Thanks for joining. So, want to start on the ZetaChain mainnet beta launch. It feels like forever ago, but it was just about 1 month. What exactly is ZetaChain mainnet beta in terms of what it supports, and what's really, I guess, the long-term vision for ZetaChain going forward? Either of you could jump in.
Yeah, I think I can take this one. So as you guys all probably know, we launched Mainnet Beta, as Jonathan was talking about, Feb 1. And this is basically the real Zeta Chain network, uh, fully functional with cross-chain capabilities, both CRC20 and cross-chain messaging. And from here, the network can kind of run into perpetuity, really. Contributors are still actively developing. If you watch the Node GitHub and all the stuff that Dennis is working on with docs and all of that. But right now, it is a fully open network. Uh, I think we have close to 100 validators on the network live, like actively validating in the active set. And from here, the goal and kind of the path is further decentralization. Contributors, whether part of the original contributor group or new ones, can come in and develop new features, uh, add in new chain support, things like adding features to the ZRC20 primitive or cross-chain messaging, or even beyond that. All of that is kind of fair game. And now that it's open, processing real assets, Bitcoin, BNB, ETH, um, all connected, it can just kind of expand from there. And there's already quite a few apps, as we'll probably talk about, and some of you guys are already here, that are serving real users, which is really, really exciting, and using the kind of core features that ZetaChain brings to the table, which is kind of chain agnostic interoperability in one place.
Great. And in terms of adding new chains, what's like the philosophy behind that? Because there are a lot of players out there, they connect to the hype chain of the month, and it's like, is that chain really going to be important 6 months from now? So how does the ecosystem balance connecting new chains, but also making sure things are operationally efficient and spending time on the integrations that matter?
Yeah, so this is something where uh, ZetaChain, as a network, will need to work on, through governance or discussion with the community, like exactly what community developers, users need and what should be prioritized. But I guess at a high level, how I envision it is ZetaChain is and should be focused on connecting chains that have meaningful usage, you know, hopefully lasting, or no signs of centralization, or you know short-lived, or yeah, as you said, new chain of the month, or whatever. So data chain is focused on connecting chains that will last into the future, uh, hopefully have sufficient decentralization, sufficient economic viability, uh, to where adding it to this interoperability layer that Zeta Chain provides adds value to all of the rest of the layers. And it's not just, connecting to a new chain, letting everyone chain hop to that chain and calling it a day. And that is part of the reason why Bitcoin is such an immediate focus, where obviously that is the largest chain by far. And in many ways, it's not connected to the rest of the crypto ecosystem. So um, by connecting it even just to ETH, and of course, more chain integrations will come, that unlocks a lot of opportunities for both, EVM/ETH users or BNB users to interact with Bitcoin directly, and then also vice versa, where the majority of Bitcoin users and holders don't really have anything to do with their Bitcoin. They just, kind of have it, and by design, of course, Bitcoin is simple. But up until the past year, there wasn't really many things to do with your Bitcoin. And of course, there are a couple new protocols like Ordinals, BRC20, but being able to interact with the broader DeFi ecosystem, all the cool stuff happening in the EVM land, for example, unlocks a lot of things for those users and making it more fluid, affordable, fast, kind of easy to develop on brings those opportunities forward.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Bitcoin is unquestionably an important network, and much of what ZetaChain contributors did at ETH Denver was deliver this message on like all the main stages and stuff, bringing Bitcoin into DeFi, and encourage listeners to check out those recordings. I want to get into the details, and maybe Dennis, you could chime in on how does ZetaChain specifically unlock Bitcoin interoperability and enable these Bitcoin smart contracts?
Yeah, sure. But before I go into this, just wanted to add a bit to the previous question. I think I want to emphasize how important it is that this system is permissionless and governed by stakers, because I've been getting questions about chain integration, and my answer was always like the first step would be to kind of talk with people on Discord, just kind of understand what users want in terms of chain integrations. It's important before you do any work to create an issue on GitHub and get feedback from core team. But at the end of the day, it's really up to the community of the chain to decide which chains they want to integrate, and it doesn't necessarily have to be done by the core team even. So in the future, it would be very interesting to see kind of community-driven chain integrations. So yeah, I can I can talk about this for a long time, but yeah, going back to Bitcoin. So the way ZetaChain works and the way it unlocks Bitcoin smart contracts is through something called TSS address. Well, TSS, and Bitcoin has a TSS address that holds custody of the BTC that users deposit into ZetaChain, and this TSS address is owned by co-owned by signer validators of ZetaChain. So it's all a single entity. It's a decentralized system, and whenever a Bitcoin user wants to interact with a dApp on ZetaChain, they send a regular BTC token transfer with a payload in the memo describing which dApp they want to interact with and what exactly they want to do. So this BTC gets locked in the TSS address, and the dApp on ZetaChain gets a ZRC20 version of BTC and the payload, and based on the smart contract logic, the logic gets executed, and depending what this dApp does, maybe a swap contract, it may be minting NFTs based on the BTC that gets deposited. So it's really up to developers. But yeah, the system is super simple. As a user, you just make a token transfer. Your BTC gets securely locked in the TSS address, and you can deposit and withdraw BTC, right? So it's not a one-way system, of course. You can even deposit BTC to your own address and then withdraw it to check how the system works. You don't even have to deposit into a contract if that's what you want. So you can separately deposit your BTC and then on ZetaChain directly interact with the contract if that's your thing. But ZetaChain strives to provide the best user experience, so it lets Bitcoin users interact directly with omni-chain contracts on ZetaChain with just a single transaction.
Thanks. So, yeah, and ZetaChain's EVM compatible, so I can like generically program any sort of app and involve native Bitcoin in it. swapping native Bitcoin for DeFi assets on other chains. That's supported with like Sushi Swap and some others. Lend native Bitcoin, borrow ETH on Ethereum. What are some of the types of apps that are made possible that we that the Zeta Chain ecosystem would want to support? What interesting use cases?
I think even like starting with DeFi and having all the set of DeFi apps would be huge for Bitcoin users, because before, I mean, up until now, you didn't really have any good options. Now you have big name DeFi apps implementing cross-chain swaps, but there's also a lot of other categories in this. But I think it's also interesting to have NFTs minted on Zeta Chain based on BTC input, right? They're currently not omni-chain NFTs; they're only on Zeta Chain, but the platform is evolving and we're adding more features. So I think it would be very exciting to see how that evolves into a more sophisticated system where you can maybe transfer these NFTs onto other chains eventually.
Yeah. And Brandon, anything to add on Bitcoin use cases, or and also your thoughts on just the infrastructure in general? Like a lot of the tooling needs to evolve, and the big wallets out there, like Trust Wallets on the panel, supporting that special sort of Bitcoin memo to be able to ingest native Bitcoin. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, as Dennis was mentioning, there are a lot of potential use cases of Bitcoin coming into DeFi ecosystem, and the broader crypto ecosystem. So things like a Bitcoin-backed CDP, stablecoin, or borrowing, lending. Those things exist mostly in like a centralized exchange context. Well, not even the CDP part, but the borrowing, lending. But having that where you have a very straightforward and permissionless route to borrow, lend, to uh, mint a stablecoin collateralized by Bitcoin, for example. Uh, those use cases are not possible with a lot of the wallet offerings we have today, uh, namely because a lot of wallets first often don't support Bitcoin first class. It's mostly a EVM world right now. And I know a lot of wallets today are starting to offer that sort of functionality. And with regards to Zeta Chain and kind of how it works and functions with Bitcoin network, the requirement is for wallets to let both developers and users input an OP return. So this is a built-in function with the Bitcoin network that lets you essentially add a memo to a Bitcoin transaction. And that memo can be, for the context of Zeta Chain, can include a contract that you want to call, metadata, a destination address, and that sort of thing. And by just supporting the ability for a developer to get a user to send a transaction with that memo that the developer can ultimately manage or generate for the user, um, that unlocks all of the above that I was mentioning, where you can deposit Bitcoin, call a contract, mint your stablecoin, borrow, lend, buy an NFT, etc. So that, also with regards to all the stuff going on the Bitcoin network, like ordinals and BRC20 in particular, um, there are a lot of competing minds in that space right now. So I don't know if there's a clear answer, but um, upcoming at the Bitcoin halving, the ordinals creator is actually launching a new iteration of fungible tokens that is purely based on OP return rather than the other sort of inscription approach that BRC20 is using. So this is just kind of a nod to using that core, built-in functionality to the Bitcoin network. The thinking is that it will cause less congestion, will be a lot more usable, and since it's also based on OP return, will be lower barrier to integration with Zeta Chain. And if we have this new primitive able to interact with all the fungible or all the data in Zeta Chain's ecosystem and thereby other chains, I think it could be really, really cool and a lot more fluid than what we kind of have today, both on Bitcoin Network and beyond.
Very cool. It's all so early and so much to learn. I'll have to pick your brain on that later. We'll also hear from Weave6 and Zeta Earn shortly about use cases involving Bitcoin and NFTs and liquid staking. Dennis, I want to go back to a point you mentioned about Zeta Chain being permissionless and like people from other ecosystems helping make integrations. So people can now submit PRs and make proposals to improve the protocol and do exactly that. So do you want to talk about the governance docs updates and some of the things in development around the forum?
Yeah, absolutely. I think this is super exciting because blockchains are not only for coins and DeFi, they're also provide social consensus between people, and arguably that's sometimes even more important. And that's why Zeta Chain is using the standard Cosmos SDK governance module, which some of you may already be familiar with. But essentially, it allows any staker of Zeta to have a say in the governance of the chain. And through governance, you can do a lot of things, but the most important ones are vote on chain upgrades. This effectively decides what gets implemented at the protocol level. So you can vote if you agree or disagree with an upgrade. So most of the time people agree with upgrades, but sometimes upgrades are controversial. So it's a very good mechanism to prevent chain from kind of going into the wrong direction. There's also parameter change upgrades proposals where you can propose changing one of the parameters of one of the modules. Doesn't sound exciting, but it actually is, because the functionality of Zeta Chain is split into modules, and each module is responsible for a certain area, and a lot of the things that the module does is parameterized, right? So you have a parameter that defines a percentage of, I don't know, I wanted to say token emission, but that doesn't really apply to Zeta Chain, but maybe it's like the percentage that affects fees, or if a certain amount from transaction is going to a community pool. So all of this can really affect how the chain works, and US stakers can submit proposals and vote on them. There are also text proposals, and what I think is important that you as users have all the documentation so that you can effectively use all of this from the CLI if you prefer. So we now have fully up-to-date and pretty detailed docs on how to participate in governance through CLI. Of course, there are applications on the web that let you do this through user interface, like PingPub, for example. You can definitely vote on proposals, but maybe you can even submit proposals. Not sure about that, but you can, if you're a pro user, you can definitely learn how to do it through the CLI. So yeah, very excited about that. And as Jonathan mentioned, we have we're working on a forum to let participants of the network discuss proposals before they go live on chain. So it's a good practice to discuss proposals before you submit them, just to kind of get a general understanding of where people stand on certain issues. And because making a proposal requires a deposit, so you kind of want to make sure that the community, you're aligned with the community. So it's not live yet, but it's coming pretty soon. So I really looking forward to see more activity from stakers on Zeta chain, where they submit proposals, actively discuss them, and eventually they end up on chain and decide how the chain is going to evolve. Exciting stuff.
Yeah, and I'm sure people will certainly be involved in the forum, and yeah, I think people will be excited to participate, and it's a huge step towards decentralization and just scaling efforts of the contributors. So, a couple more questions for you, Brandon. Like the Experience Points program, XP program, that launched on day one. What exactly is it? In the recap, XP just came to ZetaChain dApps for the first time. Give us the download and some of the long-term thinking around XP and how it helps the ecosystem.
Yeah, sure. So I think you already mentioned the stat, but we passed 1 million users on XP recently, which is super exciting. And thank you to everyone who's participating as an app and also as a user. I think it's super cool to see people learning about how to use ZetaChain, how to use apps on ZetaChain, and that sort of thing. And at a high level, that's kind of what XP is about. So XP, as a TLDR, is first iteration of what we are imagining is a sort of loyalty program on top of the protocol. So XP technically is an index of on-chain activity on ZetaChain. So, for example, by swapping on an app like Eddy, which is one of the activities you can do for XP on Zeta Hub, you will get some XP indexed to your address, or accounted to your address based on that on-chain event. What that sort of scales into is a index of meaningful activity on ZetaChain. And with that, as we build a more robust system, what we can do is in some way open source the XP data. And then when an app wants to kind of understand what their users are doing, where they're coming from, what their sort of background looks like, they have an easy, kind of quantifiable primitive to reward their users, to just understand them in general. So kind of the next phase of XP is aiming to open that system up to the broader developer app ecosystem. And it's still something that will require a bit more discussion on exactly how it'll function. But one cool thing that could be implemented is a way to open source the choice of what app or what event activity is indexed or applied points. So eventually, right now there is a vetting process just for the sake of making sure users are safe and the program is not pushing users to dangerous apps or apps that don't have the right security or kind of hardening. But in the future, when things are a bit more mature, hopefully there's a way for apps to sort of apply, perhaps, and be part of the ecosystem just based on community voting. Kind of like, hey, the community believes that this app or doing this activity is kind of meaningful for the broader ecosystem, and thereby users should be accounted points to kind of quantify that again. So eventually that can all be used by the ecosystem for perks, rewards, hopefully, discounts on swapping or anything like that. And for that to be very close to the protocol layer and not just in kind of a temporary state.
Yes, very excited for all of those opportunities and just it being used as a tool for Zeta apps to build community. And it could be a good complement to existing infrastructure like Zeta Earn. You'll learn about their leaderboard mechanism. Or in the future, you could just solely build community using open source XP. So we'll keep you updated. All of our speakers are in the waiting room, so I want to be respectful of their time. Dennis, I'll wrap up with one question, which is give us an update on the Stack Up Dev to Earn program. I believe we're starting the Omni-Chain NFT course, and also let us know where you will be in the world in the next couple months. Biddle, Asia, ETH Seoul. I think you're doing a lot of workshops over there.
Yeah, so we just launched the latest Stack Up campaign. It's focused on a contract. So if you participate, you will be basically building an NFT on-chain contract that can accept input from Bitcoin, and it also features web UI. So if you're interested in that, please do check it out. We have had thousands of developers. I don't have the numbers right now, but around 1,500 developers participated in the last campaign. I mean, finished campaign from the beginning to the final quest. So that's really cool. Shows that developers are getting familiar with the platform and are building. So they're getting ready for future hackathons. And speaking of which, we do have a few events later in March. So I'll be going to ETH Seoul and Biddle Asia. So we have a set of workshops there, a full day of workshops actually. So very excited about that. So whoever is like in South Korea right now, I'll meet you guys there. And please do check these events if you're interested.
Amazing. Yeah, and we'll update the Zeta Chain main events calendar soon and loop in all of our partners in Korea and Hong Kong. Yeah, you just heard from Dennis and Brandon leading product and developer experience. Guys, thanks for jumping on. I know you got a lot of work to do, so feel free to hop off.
Thank you.
Thank
Awesome.
you.
Thanks. So, joining us is Klexos founder at Zeta Earn, biggest and I believe the first liquid staking project on Zeta Chain. Klexos, are you with us?
Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me.
Hello, sir. Good to reconnect. Why don't you give an intro on yourself and what you're working on at Zeta Earn?
Sure. So, in the interest of time, let me just jump straight into it about ZetaRadio. As Jonathan has alluded to, we are the first and largest liquid staking protocol on Zeta Chain, and we're very happy to share that the 30 days into Mainnet, we have attracted over 500,000 users on our platform. And so far, we have onboarded more than 20 partners such as Instones and Sushi to help support our infrastructure and liquidity. We are in close collaboration with ZetaChain and developing cross-chain solutions that natively support major assets like BTC and ETH, steering us towards offering an omni-chain platform. And a bit about myself, I have been in crypto for a few years. Started off in the last cycle doing CeFi stuff, driven by the institutionalization wave as a major theme of last cycle, and sort of a transition into more DeFi-related work, and finally landed on ZetaChain, and very happy to be here.
Nice. And we finally met for the first time in Denver the other week. Yes. Curious, what did you think of the vibe over there?
Well, it was actually my first time traveling to Denver, although I've been to different parts of the States. And ETH Denver has been, in my opinion, a very successful event. Start with a lot of fantastic main events, side events, and of course, especially the Thank You Satoshi and Omni-Chain Day organized by our ZetaChain friends. I have personally met a lot of passionate partners and hardcore builders. If only the weather had been a little bit more accommodating, I would have rated a 10 out of 10. And just to add to that, I have actually saw a lot of teams there talking about Ethereum layer 2, liquid staking, liquid restaking and stuff, very hype and crowded space. And just now, I believe the others have also mentioned about the growing interest and passion in BTC and its ecosystem. It was actually a hot topic at ETH Denver, to a certain degree, almost ironic. And to cap it off, there was a very high attendance at BTC themed events, including ZetaChain's events as well. Well, I think what's driving the imagination of the people is thinking about the ability to unlock the $1 trillion BTC liquidity across chains is really, I think, everybody's dream. And of course, I think what makes me really feel the space is filled with inclusiveness and innovativeness. Is we also see people there talking about AI, dipping, and Solana ecosystem. So it's not only about Ethereum anymore. It's really about blockchain in general.
Indeed, yeah. Like liquid staking is obviously a popular use case, Lido on Ethereum, for example. But part of what or why your team is building on ZetaChain is to achieve the cross-chain staking and restaking. Tell us a little bit more about that. Like, there are some players out there like Babylon Chain where you can involve Bitcoin in securing other blockchains. In theory, you could build this as an omni-chain smart contract on ZetaChain EVM. What does it take to pull this off? I know there's a bit more protocol work to do on ZetaChain's side, but this is pretty achievable. Maybe you could share more.
Yeah, sure. But before we answer this question, I think we need to first acknowledge the challenges and complexities inherent to a successful implementation of cross-chain staking. These challenges include interoperability protocols, smart contracts, token standardization, security measures, scalability solutions, and various others. Each of them is in itself a major issue. If you asked me this question last year, I would have told you that to really pull this off would be almost impossible. However, where we stand today, thanks to ZetaChain's cross-chain capabilities on a base chain level, I would say about 99% of the complexities have been abstracted away. And as a protocol, we can focus solely on building the logic itself, making the solution to realize real cross-chain staking possible. Now, returning to the question itself, about the essence of cross-chain staking, I think there are two most important aspects: the why and the how. That is why we should actually build cross-chain staking and how we can do it. So the why inherently includes both a proactive and a reactive perspective. So if we take Lido as an example, which is known by almost everyone in the Web3 world, and I'm sure all the audience on this call have heard or have even used Lido. But if we talk about numbers, actually, how many stakers currently, or how many users does Lido actually host? We just did a quick fact check. There are about 380,000 plus users on Lido. To put this into perspective, that is actually less than what we have on ZetaEarn. So this actually shows many users, although they are in this DeFi space, they may not have directly interacted with protocols almost as uh, pervasive as Lido itself. And what we believe is sort of stopping users or stopping a wider adoption is probably the gas costs. And we have actually witnessed in recent times the gas on Ethereum mainnet has skyrocketed again, signaling also a bull market has returned. So because of this limited adoption, we feel that a lot of users in the space are actually blocked out of this access. So we actually focus on solving the remaining 1% problem of cross-chain staking, which is the logic. And to us, that is also the most essential issue, how to actually generate or find the source of yield or earnings for our users. And we see this divided into two levels. The first is on the protocol level, and this essentially involves users having to interact with other DeFi Legos, including lending protocols, liquidity mining, and DEXs, and so on and so forth. The other is actually on the base chain level, similar to what ZetaEarn is currently working on, providing a basic yield based on the chain's POS mechanism itself. So from the very beginning of ZetaEarn's design, risk was our most significant concern. That's why we focus on the chain level earnings protocols. But we have already set the foundation right, and we are now ready to tap onto the omni-chain smart contract capabilities of ZetaChain to venture into supporting natively assets like BTC and ETH. And the beauty of that is users can finally be seeing affordable level of gas when they actually interact natively with ETH, and also bring smart contract capabilities to BTC, similar to, for example, what Babylon is doing.
Yep, those are excellent points. And yeah, it's more affordable on ZetaChain, and then the actual settlement will occur on Bitcoin network itself in that use case, which is what Bitcoin holders and communities care about. So separate from technology, community building is super important for any Web3 project. You guys are doing some really cool gamification around liquid staking. You want to share what you guys released around the leaderboard mechanic and how you're thinking of that product going forward and how people can participate?
Sure. So we have actually launched our own leaderboard on 27th of Feb, and we're currently running what we call a season 1 of this leaderboard. And we are currently actually still running the early bird boost, which is ending on 18th March. So if you are not yet on board, now is the time to join the party. And to participate is actually pretty straightforward. Users can visit our official website at zetaearn.com and find leaderboard on our homepage. And once you're in, connect your wallet, stake your Zeta token, and you will see your points and rank. on your dashboard already. Some quick tips about the point hunters out there. So we have actually 5 different levels designed for users. Of course, the more tokens you stake, the higher your level will be, and the more point boosters you will get. And secondly, the longer you stake, the more points you will earn. And this aligns the interests between the users and the protocol itself. And of course, to add the social element, we have a separate category of points for inviting friends. So those of your friends who join this program using your referral codes, you also earn more points. And as I said before, early bird is still ongoing, but it's gonna end on 18th March. So this will be the one-off chance for people to get that edge ahead of others. And lastly, we have actually launched our own Genesis Pass NFT before we went live together with ZetaChain on the 1st of Feb. For those who are holding this, you actually get a special boost. If you don't have one, no worries. You can actually head over to our friends with 6 and you can actually buy one from the collection. So our aim of launching the leaderboard is to introduce more ways to engage our community, and we want to take this opportunity to thank our more than 500,000 users for joining us on this journey together with us. And we want to have some fun together. And of course, Zeta Points will bring you real, tangible value down the road. So join the party. Season 2 is coming soon, and we are going to introduce even more ways to play. And as Jonathan has mentioned before, we are also looking at how we can better integrate with Zeta Hub's XP program so that we can even bring more unified and simplified user experience to our users.
Amazing. Yeah, and Zeta earns part of the XP apps for this month. Yeah, that's Klexos at Zeta Earn, liquid staking project on ZetaChain, working on native cross-chain staking and restaking with Bitcoin. Klexos, thanks for hopping on.
Thanks.
Awesome. Let me jump to Kelly. She has to run at the top of the hour, so we'll catch her quickly. Kelly's the BD lead at Trust Wallet, which integrated ZetaChain a couple weeks ago now. Kelly, are you with us?
Yes. Hey, Jonathan. Yeah, and hi, everyone. So Kelly here, and I'm leading growth initiative and the chain partnership with the ecosystem partners like ZetaChain, I Trust Wallet BD team. So yeah, so like Jonathan mentioned, we recently supported the ZetaChain ecosystem, and then it has been a good journey with ZetaChain. And we are planning to have some big announcement and also some activation campaigns with ZetaChain in a very short period. So yeah, just stay tuned and yeah, just keep the excitement going. And when the campaign is out, and please everybody just join, and then yeah.
Awesome. And anything you can share on that that's public, of course. I don't want to reveal anything prematurely, but what can the ecosystem expect and anything more?
Yeah, so I think one thing that's very exciting is that, so as you guys mentioned about the validator, we're actually going to join as one of the validators. And then so if you guys have Trust Wallet in hand, we actually provide a native staking feature directly inside Trust Wallet. So currently we support up to like about 20 different chain staking options, and then soon we'll be supporting ZetaChain token staking as well. So Trust Wallet, like we are the most used mobile wallet, so we have like more than 17 million users download the Trust Wallet, and also we supported over 100 different blockchains. And then for NFT, we actually support up to like 15 different chain standards NFTs as well. So with that said, we are aim to become, like chain agnostic to become the one-stop shop for our users when they come to Web3 space. So I think that's pretty exciting because all the Zeta Chain token holders can come to Trust Wallet and then help secure the Zeta Chain by staking their tokens.
Amazing. Yeah, so more updates coming on that soon. If people want to get in touch with your team, I think you're Hong Kong based, right? Will you guys be at the upcoming event? And where can people learn more about Trust Wallet?
Yeah, so our team is pretty distributed. So
Right.
myself, I'm based in Asia. So and then we have BD members in like Georgia and Paris. But the team is very like distributed. So we are like we only have like 70 team members, but across I think like 30 different countries and 19 different time zones. So yeah, it's very interesting when it comes to, like organize a whole team meetings.
Right. I would expect nothing less of the biggest wallet provider in crypto. So that makes sense. Well, thanks for jumping on, Kelly. Everyone, this is Kelly, BD lead at Trust Wallet, and look out for a fun press release coming up soon about an exciting campaign. Kelly, thanks.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Cool. Next, we have Ethan in the waiting room, business lead at Weave6, omni-chain NFT marketplace, building on ZetaChain. Ethan, thanks for joining us.
Hi. Thanks, Jonathan, for having us here. And yeah, so actually, I can just start like a brief introduction for
Sure.
Wave6. It's actually a launchpad and a marketplace like designed specifically for the omni-chain NFTs. So actually, we have like three major products that includes the launchpad for omni-chain assets and also marketplace for the omni-chain NFT assets, and also like indexers. So the indexers is also designed specifically for the omni-chain NFTs. So actually, in terms of how like this experience were like really like different like from the other NFT marketplace, I would say it's actually we can just make a comparison. Like like today, like for the standard marketplace like OpenSea or Blur, like the experience is really I would say like you have to notice like which chain like you're on. So first, like you have to realize like which chains like you have your like these resources or purchase power like in, and then you have to distinguish like which chain like your interesting assets will be on. So the experience becomes like when you're targeting like a specifically an NFT asset, you have to to make sure first like you have like the purchase power like in that specific chains, and you have to do like either cross chains through like a CEX or other um, cross chain method to be and then to actually purchase that asset from that specific chains, and then after the purchase you have to actually store like the asset on the same chains. So like but through like the omnichain standard, what we can really do differently is like so first like the same collections NFT assets can sort of like coexist like on different chains. Yeah, of course, like the individual items still have like their unique the ID, but the collections the address is the same. So it's just the items can like just simultaneously exist like on different chains. And for users in terms of the marketplace, like there is a cross-chain payment system we are currently developing that's will enable users to no matter like which chains, as long as like compatible with the current omni-chain standard, you can purchase the assets like from the omni-chain assets like from the different chains. And after that, you can, to decide yourself like which chain like you want to store like the specifically NFT asset. So the whole experience becomes like you can, just start with your favorite chains, like with a specific with the purchase power, and then you can, and we like the NFT the omni-chain the marketplace will like index first all the omni-chain assets, and then like also sources like the price of them, and then through our cross-chain payment system, you can just use any purchase power like with from the different chains, like your different chains, and you can just purchase them, and after that you can decide yourself to store like the asset on your preferred chains. So the whole idea is really to really ease like the experience of the NFT discovery, the asset discovery, and also the trading experience. Because like through the whole process, you don't have to like to go through the cross chain yourself. It's just just need to connect with like one your preferred chain once, and the rest like basically we can take care for you, and that's really for the omni chain assets. Yeah.
Thank you. Okay. So, yeah, with respect to chain abstraction, so I can connect to Weave 6 on any connected chain, Ethereum, Binance, Bitcoin. I can list and buy NFTs in any token from any chain. You mentioned I can hold that NFT on the chain of my choosing.
Yeah.
Does this work with native Bitcoin? Tell us more about Bitcoin interoperability.
Yeah, actually right now, like I in terms of the Bitcoin, like the compatibilities, that's uh currently depends on like the Zeta chain infrastructure level, like
Right.
so as far as I know today, like especially for NFTs, the omnichain standard is compatible with BSC, Ethereum, and also the Polygon, and also the Zeta chain itself. So like these four of the chains, like today, like we are able to do like what we said mentioned before, like to do this chain agnostic way. But in terms of the Bitcoin NFT specifically, I think that's also like what we are super looking forward to, is like how I think like as soon as the Zeta chain, the infrastructure level be able to compatible with Bitcoin NFTs, we can be because yeah, actually we are also pretty experienced with the ordinance NFTs. So and currently the marketplace is already compatible with all the audience NFT. It's just in terms of the what I say, like the chain agnostic, the trading experience, that's where it depends on like the time, like when the omni-chain standard that's compatible with Bitcoin ordinance NFTs. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, and we're excited to help advance that with you. I believe you can
Yeah.
use native Bitcoin to buy NFTs in DeFi,
Mhm,
but
mhm.
when omni-chain smart contracts support non-fungibles, that will open up a bunch of opportunities with ordinals, inscriptions, all of that stuff. So,
Yeah. That's really exciting, and I think today that's one specific, like a huge, I would say a huge like marketing demand. In terms the market demand is like everyone are looking for how to just unlock that liquidities from the Bitcoin ecosystem and to the other smart contract compatible ecosystem. Yeah. So yeah, really looking forward to to work with their chain on that. Yeah.
indeed. Yeah, and congrats on your launch. So you guys had
Mhm.
a Genesis Pass campaign, and what was the purpose of that, and what's the current state of that program?
Yeah, definitely. So this is actually the first NFT collections like our platform launched on ZetaChain, and so like when we launch it, like it has like two main goals. Like one goal is really about like to really draw the marketing attentions, because like this especially so this is a like just first collections, like we launched it so on ZetaChain, but towards like I think especially for the omnichain NFT standard, it's still quite new. So it's just really need to use it like to make it becomes more informed, like with the communities and with the markets let people know like what the Omnichain can do. So that's, like in terms of the marketing attentions, that's one of the big goals. And another thing is also sort of like a pressure test. And also, actually, we just did the indexers for ZetaChain NFTs and also Omnichain NFTs a few weeks ago. So it's still the indexer is still like a new product, and so by actually launching like our own NFTs like with on the with the indexer sort of like an infrastructure is really gives us like a really good opportunities in terms of the pressure test, because like as soon as we launch it did like draw a lot of attentions, and users like the volumes actually grows, and actually we did find some issues like with our own indexers. So so it's a good way to get it out there, and to let the real users case to really test like the products we are building, and then we are just keep like optimize and build on top of it to sort of like fine tuning like our not only the indexers but also like our marketplace like those features pieces.
Yeah. Tell us more about the indexer solution in like layman's terms and why that's important in a marketplace. We were mentioning earlier that the governance docs are live, and so this is an actual contribution from you as an ecosystem project in the ecosystem. Um, what is
Yeah.
this 721 NFT indexer? Why is it important?
Yeah, definitely. Just like sort of like when there is a new like asset types, it's generally need like new infrastructure levels development. Sort of like how like previously OpenSea actually built a lot of like NFT infrastructure for the ERC 721 that includes like the indexers, and also like sort of a bunch of aggregating services actually for the NFT spaces. So like right now, like since we are, actually one of the earliest like projects actually dive into the ZetaChain ecosystem active space. So there are some pieces like we are working really closely with the ZetaChain product team, and that includes like the actually I think when we developed it was the first indexers for the not only the ZetaChain NFTs but also the Omnichain standard NFTs. So the indexer is sort of like the first pieces like any NFT marketplace or any projects that need like this to basically to find and show like the NFT asset, they will need like the indexers. So we develop it, and sort of like currently it's capable of capturing the ZetaChain NFTs, and also like what's the key is about like to really capture the ZetaChain NFT question events. So that's also really important for the Omnichain standard in the futures. And so it's sort of like it becomes like one of the, I would say, the NFT infrastructure pieces like in the existing in the their chain NFT space. Yeah.
Awesome contribution. Thank you. And I encourage everyone to check out the app. In fact, keep an eye on Weave6 Twitter feed. There's an interesting collab with Ultiverse if you are playing their AI-powered metaverse product that just came out. And this will be a great way to test Weave6 and participate in a fun campaign. I wanted to ask you, Ethan, like the design system and the pastel colors in Weave6, everyone should go to the app right now. It's quite beautiful. And I was curious, like, are you guys building that in-house? How did you build that design system?
Yeah, definitely. In terms of design, like when we team, like when our founding team, when think about like why we are doing like NFTs specifically, it's like, we're treating it like I would say like a more than like the numbers. Like we sort of think about how like in real lives, actually a lot of things are actually NFTs. Like a lot of them are just like all unique and no fungibles. And in terms of that, what do we think, like why we need like the NFTs in like outside or with like our daily life? Is actually it becomes a really like a tool, sort of like first it's like to basically we call it capture the moment like of the good memories or the moment of your creative mind, just like those great moments. And those great moments, like when they becomes the first, like they are no fungibles, and also like when they are just stored on chain, like it becomes this moment actually becomes like a immortal things. And it's also like really easy to accessible. And so back to like how we really design it, like we think about like yeah, everyone like the NFTs is more than numbers. It's more about the memories. And in terms of the memories, it's actually it's quite colorful. It's like every individuals like they will have their own memories, and those memories are generally like it can be really diverse. And this diverse and is also like sort of like relates to a lot of like emotions, stories, like creative things. So we want to like to make it less about like in like was sort of like a trading field. So we want it more like just like a great space like for people to be creative and to like mint or create their memories, and also store their memories, and also share with like their memories. So that's like how we actually developed and our current this design schemes. It's about like a colorful memory. Yeah.
Yeah, branding design is super important, especially for NFT marketplace where
Yeah.
you're dealing with creatives and stuff. So it looks really good. Anything else to call out that's upcoming, announcements to the listeners, roadmap features?
Yeah, definitely. So like first, like in terms of the product development, I think like in the next month we are going to launch our this cross-chain payment system. So that's actually really critical in terms of like how this whole the omni-chain like NFT trading experience could really be different, be unique, like with the users like interfaces. So that that's sort of like our most important focus right now. Is just to be able to make it ready like in next month. And also like the second in terms of development is like sort of like Jonathan you mentioned, like the Bitcoin ecosystem is really like a great opportunities. And like so we really hope for like to be able to work really closely with the ZetaChain product teams to own that either be able to like compatible with ordinary NFTs and BRC or ARC20s, and to really unlock that huge liquidities, and to able to to bridge them like with more smart contracts level applications. So that's also really important. And also by the same time, like this omnichain standard, NFT omnichain NFT standard we're building is still quite new. So what that means is also it's really important to make it more informed, like to the communities and to the partners specifically. And so I would say like onboarding like more interesting projects and partners. It's also a really key key drive like where we need. So so sort of like what Jonathan you mentioned, like the Autoverse partnerships. I think that's will be like a really great start. Like and yeah. So one thing, yeah, I like I really want to like reinforce is like why this omnichain NFT standard really matters, like especially for projects teams. It's like, like so previously, like like before, like we work with ZetaChain, a few months ago, like we in the NFT markets, like we always feel like there's a sort of like a really critical like a trade-off challenges for most of the NFT projects team. And the trade-off is actually between I would define them like the trade-off between the liquidities and the utilities, uh, especially for NFTs, because today is like most of the NFTs liquidity is actually on Ethereum, but the thing about like to have NFTs launch on Ethereum is like it has really high like interactive costs, like the gas cost, like when you really need to use that NFT asset, like to use that in your applications, it's especially for Web3 gaming projects, So if they considering like a liquidity levels, they would hope to launch it on Ethereum. But when they think about like really to bring that Web3 gaming into next levels of mass adoptions, there's just no way like users can like interact with any Ethereum NFTs on chains. The gas costs will be huge. So this way, it's by omni chains, it's really I would say like a revolutionary innovative. It's like the projects team like just can really deal like with this trade-off with the maximum flexibilities. They can have the same collections like launch it on like the same time and on different chains. So they can have some of the same within the same collection. They can have some of their items launch on Ethereum, and but at the same time they can launch their items on the BIC or Zeta chain or any the layer two chains with like much less the interactive cost. So this ways, like they can really combine this advantage of the liquidities like with Ethereum chains, but also they can compatible with this to have like a really affordable interactive on-chain interactive cost with their assets. So I think that's this is like a one thing like we really want to like broadcast to any teams or project teams that's interesting to in the omnichain assets, because like this trade-off questions has been like modeled with a lot of projects team, especially Web3 gaming projects like before. So I think for this thing like this like sort of like a thesis, like we have to really push hard on this and to really onboard like a lot of more like interesting and like a developing projects team, like the auditors, and so that's also like really important. Sort of like our focus is like to really onboard more partners and projects who are interested in the omnichain asset, assets. Yeah.
100%. Omnichain NFT marketplace is needed. You guys are building the infrastructure, and no doubt that people will come. Everyone, that's Ethan, the business lead at weave6.com. Check it out. Campaign coming out very shortly with Ultiverse that you should check out as well. Thanks for joining, Ethan.
Yeah. Thanks, Jonathan. Thanks. Thank you.
Cool. So chain abstraction is a good segue into Biconomy. We have Rick, head of BD at Biconomy and account abstraction stack. They just integrated ZetaChain a couple of hours ago, which we'll get the download on. Rick, thanks for your patience. Are you on the line?
Yes, sir. Thanks for having me here. Nice to be here in front of you all. And yeah, looking forward to chatting.
Yeah, thank you for joining, and it's a pleasure to meet you. Tell us about your background and how you came to be a contributor at Biconomy and what it's all about.
Yeah, for sure. So my background, like I've been with Biconomy for 2.5 years now. Joined in 2021 as a growth manager. Since then, obviously taken on a lot of responsibilities, currently leading BD and partnerships here. My background before that, I come from a kind of TradFi background, used to work at Capital One. And in 21, I was like more and more, obviously, getting deeper into crypto, more and more interested, was around as an investor and a community member, but yeah, I just wanted to jump in full time, and was lucky enough to kind of be in touch with Biconomy via a friend who referred me, met the founders, had some great conversations, and it's been a fun ride since then. At Bioeconomy, we build account abstraction infrastructure, like you said. We've been doing this for about 2 years now. Basically, since the ERC4337 spec itself was first published, Vitalik started talking about it in like, I think, late 2021. We started working on it in 2022. One of the first providers to launch on Mainnet one day after the actual entry point went live on Ethereum. So it's been like an exciting couple of years building at the cutting edge of blockchain technology, building for the future. And now, like 2 years into building for we are building for now because, we have some of the largest projects in the space. Trust Wallet, who we had on this ZetaRadio as well, right, who've gone live with our stack. So we're definitely reaching that point where account abstraction is in the mainstream, and people recognize that without using account abstraction, there is very little chance of making blockchain mainstream, because there is no way Web2 users are going to be able to like deal with all the blockchain specific complexities, like what is a chain, what is a gas, how much gas to pay, what is an RPC. So together, like with Zeta chain and chain abstraction and with our account abstraction stack, I think the dApps of the future are essentially applications where you don't even know that there is blockchain involved. You definitely don't know what blockchain is involved. You just use applications because you want to use them, right? You don't need to know exactly how it works or exactly like technical details of it, what transaction fees are, and so on. So yeah, that's been our thesis for a very long time. We've been around since 2019, kind of building towards a similar direction since then itself, pushing for like tooling and infrastructure that allows developers to build easier to use applications. And with account abstraction, I think we are really seeing applications that are easy to use and can really onboard the next billion users, like we all want to talk about.
Yeah, and congrats on all of the traction, and you guys have done a bunch of work that I think will serve you well going forward as the whole space grows. And UX is super important. I think we share the same vision there.
100%.
Curious to get more into the details of account abstraction, like and how this is perhaps similar or different or complementary to something like particle network. Maybe you could help share more of an overview of the landscape to listeners.
Sure, happy to do that. So account abstraction in first, like at its very abstract, right? At the general level, account abstraction is basically abstracting away something from the account, right? And this something is the private key. And at its core, what account abstraction means is smart contract wallets, right? Today, of course, account abstraction has come to mean so many different things. It's like a strong narrative, a lot of people talking about it, and hence, like what someone means exactly by account abstraction may differ. For a fact, like a lot of people call MPC wallets account abstraction, which is like technically incorrect, but it's words are just a tools for communication, right? So I think so. Yeah, jumping into it, like beyond smart accounts, when we say account abstraction, we mean specifically a certain standard for account abstraction, which is the ERC 4337 standard, which was proposed by Vitalik in 21 as an EIP 4337. Subsequently, after like a couple of years of work, it went live last year in April on Ethereum, and yeah, we have built out the entire account abstraction stack. What that means is we've built out the smart accounts, smart contract wallets that users can use to get this AA powered experience, simplified user experience, right? And we've built out paymasters and bundlers, which are critical parts of the ERC-4337 stack, without bundlers, you cannot do transactions in an ERC-4337 compliant manner. And paymasters is essentially what does gas abstraction. So paymasters is what allows projects to sponsor gas fees on behalf of their users, right? And it also can allow users to pay their own gas and other tokens. So if you're on any chain, let's say I'm on Zeta chain, I want to do a transaction, but I only have stable coins left. So if you're using an account abstraction wallet, you can easily just pay gas in stable coins, right? That's powered by paymasters. So we've built out this entire stack. How we differ from projects like Particle Network or others like Web3 or Privy is that these are projects who focus on MPC wallets and social login. So social login in itself isn't technically account abstraction, though, like I said earlier, a lot of people kind of use that to mean account abstraction as well. Use account abstraction to mean social login as well. But yeah, Particle started with, let's say, social login, and they actually have been working with us as well. If you use the Particle SDK, now they have the full account abstraction stack, and they actually use the smart accounts that Biconomy has built to power the account abstraction experience. They were using like our bundlers and paymasters as well, but now I think they have built out their own bundlers as well, and still using certain contracts that we have deployed to power the AA experience. So yeah, there's a lot of projects in the space, of course. As Biconomy, like we are laser focused on delivering the best possible service on our infrastructure and delivering the best possible UX and DevX and security on our contracts and SDKs, right? So
Yep.
currently one of the largest AA providers in the market, definitely in terms of market share of total transactions and accounts deployed. And yeah, super happy to say that, like you said, as of today, we are now live on Zeta chain as well. It takes like a lot of effort from our team to kind of add support to a new chain, simply because there are so many different kinds of services that we need to make live. So yeah, I want to thank our team who've been working tirelessly over the last few weeks to add support. But we are now live, and I hope to work with many of the projects who've been on the space itself and others as well in the Zeta chain ecosystem to power what is a truly, truly simplified user experience with both chain abstraction as well as account abstraction.
Yes, and thank you to your team as well. The ecosystem has been asking for all of those terms you use, bundlers and account abstraction, and I'm happy that devs can start implementing it for real. Yeah, I think there's interesting things Zeta Chain Foundation can do to support gas subsidies and different types of campaigns to help bootstrap projects. So very excited about what's possible. As far as like developers listening, how can they start building with Biconomy, and what's a good next step if they want to implement AA in their applications?
Yeah, I think in terms of the types of apps we work with, we work with absolutely all types of apps in the space. We have wallets like Trust Wallet who are using us. We have DeFi applications like Quenta for perps trading that are using us. We have games like NHS who are using us. So regardless of what you exactly you're building, if you're building for retail, if you're building like a consumer app, if you're building for like a B2C use case, account abstraction fits in for you. So how to get started? Like you can just go through our docs or go to our website and like book a demo call with someone on our team. We'll be happy to help you out. Or if all of that is too much work, just feel free to DM me on Twitter or Telegram, and we'll help you guys out. Right? There's a lot of use cases that are possible. If I go into all of those, we'll be here for another couple of hours, so I won't. But on a very high level, gas abstraction is the most common one that people using it for, right? Like sponsor their users gas, simplify the user onboarding experience, incentivize certain types of transactions, right? Doing things like, okay, if user places a trade of more than $1,000, then I sponsor the gas, so that more people place larger volume trades, right? So simple things like that can not just improve the UX, but also increase engagement within your applications. And there are many other features, like things like session keys to allow for pop-up less experiences, so that user doesn't need to sign for every transaction that they do, and while remaining self-custodial. So yeah, the world of account abstraction is like tons and tons of features that they can use to really simplify what their end user experience looks like.
Yeah, and you guys are experts, and we're going to have to do a deep dive just one-on-one as a next step. And I think we're already talking to your team about that. So yeah, I guess you've been around the space a while. I'm curious your sense of the market in 2024 with respect to Biconomy's trajectory, like what's next, and if you want to share your overall sentiment about where we are right now. I think that'd be a great place to close.
Sure. I think in terms of what we are up to at Biconomy, there's a bunch of things that I can't talk about right now, but you all will find out very soon in the coming weeks and months. A lot of exciting work going on over here. What I can talk about is there's a lot of chains coming out, right? And of course, for you guys as like Zeta chain, as this omni chain layer, I think it fits in so well with what we are seeing happening in the space. Like people who want to access all these different upcoming chains can just get this chain abstracted experience by building on Zeta chain. So I think that's super powerful because of the trend that we are seeing in the market of so many new different chains. We've also been like actively working with quite a few new and up and coming chains, whether they are like rollups, whether they are like whatever different tech stacks. Some are app specific chains, some are more general purpose chains, like working with all of them to power this simplified user experience on their layers, right? So I think that's something that is going to continue. We just announced a couple of big partnerships for us in the last couple of weeks. As I said earlier, Trust Wallet is one of them, getting one of the largest wallets in the entire industry. I think it's super amazing to see them taking strides in ensuring that the wallet UX is the best it can possibly be, right? And also just announced our partnership with Accentric from Mercedes, who we've actually been working with for quite a long time, and who've also been using our account abstraction stack for the true power of blockchain, right? Which is how do you decentralize and make like a more permissionless and trustless system for Web2 things, right? For their data marketplace. So it's like lot such cool partnerships that are in the works that we'll be announcing over the coming weeks and months. And we also actually announced our partnership with Silence Labs, with whom we are building on EigenLayer as one of the first AVSs to their multi-party computation as well. So yeah, a very exciting year. We have strong team now. Like we've kind of been hiring as well, and still constantly on the lookout for the best of the best developers, because building on obviously the cutting edge of crypto is not easy. So but yeah, it's something that motivates you to keep going every day, right?
Love it. Yeah. Certainly share the same vision around account chain abstraction, and we need to bring the great usability of products from Web 2 and into Web 3. And yeah, excited to work together more. And if you're a developer wanting to implement account abstraction in your app, Biconomy is certainly the go-to project that is laser focused on this. So you just heard from Rick, head of BD at Biconomy. He said his DMs are open. That's on the record. Rick, thanks for joining.
Yeah, DMs are always open. I'm faster on Telegram than Twitter, but yeah, we'll definitely get back to you if you reach out to me. But of course, you can always go to our website and reach out to our entire team as well. So yeah, thanks for having me here, guys. This was a lot of fun, not just talking about what we've been doing at Bioeconomy, but also listening to the other speakers. And yeah, looking forward to working with all of you and building for the future.
Love it. Thank you. And look forward to a deep dive part 2. All right.
100%.
We got one more speaker here. Ruben is on the community side, head of Philippines at ZetaChain, and also founder of Web3 nonprofit DDC, which you'll learn more about. Ruben, thanks so much for your patience. Are you with us?
GM everyone, GM Sir Jonathan, thanks for having DDC here.
GM to you. I know it's like 11 p.m.
Yeah.
or something, and really appreciate you jumping on. We can keep it kind of quick. I want the community to hear about the state of crypto in the Philippines and how you got started with the nonprofit DDC and what you're working on.
Yeah, definitely. We started we are just 1.5 year old community, local here, particularly in the Philippines, and I've been here way back like on the first DeFi summer, way back 2021, and as a participant, I was able to to get growth based of the different communities that are also like helping in that sense, and was able to capture that in the sense that I could probably do that in the aspect of pivoting more on our locals, particularly in the Philippines, because there are so many curious people that are far not more knowledgeable about what we do here in our space, like DeFi, NFT, and Web3 in general. So that's why we started the About DeFi community, like advocating the industry, which we can help spread the information, then advocating also on our local vicinity so that we could funnel some educations and learning to them directly. Of course, preventing like bad actors, scams, which is
Right.
very common here also.
Yeah, and do you find a lot of the people that come to events? I know you do online and in-person events. These are mostly beginner crypto folks.
Yeah. We try to package our education starting like informal meetups. Then we escalate that for our participants into more like workshops, then eventually lead to conferences. Then what's really good thing with that is we get so much positive uh, output and feedback from the community itself. Like we have sectors like team, different universities like are very enthusiastic to engage with us. Like for example, developers like computer science, IT, data science, and we have another parallel also like we able to engage like local artists. We try to educate them with regards to NFT. Like they are really good national artists and they don't know NFT, so maybe they can expand their reach of their art. So we do that also in that aspect. Then of course the user centric in that aspect also.
Love it. We'll have to introduce them to Weave 6. Maybe that'll be a good next interview for you. So yeah, you've done great work contributing to ZetaChain for a while now, running ZetaChain Philippines, Twitter, translating content. You guys have done events on site. How'd you find ZetaChain, and what intrigues you about the project?
Yeah, we're really pretty aligned with the chain because most of our engagement initially with community and users, we really put more effort like on the general knowledge, like history of blockchain, what is blockchain. Then Zeta chain somehow like replicates the application layer, the culmination of that like education. So since ZetaChain is like uh, omni-chain in that aspect, like that's being discussed about abstraction, it's easy for everyone like not to get confused with different blockchain bridging and that aspect, and having a native asset on one chain is a very good avenue for education for everyone, like most especially beginners or middle persons who are trying to get onboarded. So it gives us more leverage on
Mhm.
on our event and aspects.
Yeah. And like the space is so early. You talked about scams, and there's a lot of best practices to be aware of. But we envision a future where you can just onboard into ZetaChain, and it's like the only blockchain you need to experience other blockchains and really simplify the UX, to your point. So that is a cool future to think about.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Looking forward.
So yeah, you've been doing these awesome interviews, Eddie Finance, League of Thrones most recently, who more news on them coming up.
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm.
how has it been talking to some of the developers, and like are there particular areas of OmniChain that you're really interested in?
Yeah, it's a good avenue also for us. It's definitely a good learning aspect. Give having their insights and their feedbacks with regards to like using Zeta chain as an omni chain. And one of the features that I've been really interested is like, of course, the fragmentation aspect. I've been a degen also, and one of my major problem of me is like having wrap asset. I was able to get locked up on a chain which there's no liquidity because it's wrapped and there's no available liquidity or pool for that. So that's very like a pain in the ass on that aspect. And having a blockchain that, like for example, Eddy Finance, which is pooling all the liquidity in a single platform, it would somehow really give more aspect to do more on DeFi, to expand more and like create money Legos on that aspect. So with regards also to the game aspect, Philippines is got so much growth phase with regards to the game because our first onboarding process was really about play to earn.
Mhm.
Actually we've been recorded that the Philippines is one of the top MetaMask user on Asia during the first DeFi summer, and because of some play to earn aspects. So it's a good avenue also for Filipino that are already a MetaMask users, so they can easily like onboard into DeFi with Zeta Chain because the Filipino people are more fan of NFT, and they are staying away a bit with DeFi because it's more complex. But the good thing with the new narratives now is like NFT are being integrated in DeFi, so they have no choice in that aspect. They've been participating in DeFi also.
Yeah. And I'm just thinking of League of Thrones. People can visit their game to learn more, but there's like an NFT aspect, and I'm just thinking DDC could create a DAO within that, and
Mhm.
yeah, excited for all of those opportunities. And what you said really resonated about like bridging and getting stuck on chains because of gas and stuff.
Mhm.
For me, I've never interacted with Bitcoin because it's like a different wallet standard, and I prefer to do things on chain. So, yeah, the ability to interact with native Bitcoin on Zeta Chain from DeFi chains is something I'm excited about.
Mhm. Definitely.
Yeah, and you mentioned a bit about the crypto community in the Philippines. How do you see it shaping up in 2024, and how is the sentiment? Like, it seems more people are coming to events and getting educated through your organization. What do you think this year brings?
Yeah, people are very optimistic nowadays because of what happened to the market. But aside from that, actually, during like the beer season in that aspect, we've been building communities on that aspect. And what's the good thing is that there are more like curiosity and engagement. Like there are many communities popping out from different location and doing collaboration. Actually, we have like a local Web3 or tone meter. It's been doing information campaign also from different places. So people try to converge on different initiative of events that being created. Like what we have, we plan to like to accelerate our like blockchain to campus, and we have really a huge universities and academe who are very positive. They want us to connect and to launch also the event on their campus so that students can learn, and even the professionals and even the faculty. And we even have like local government unit education, like big tech events. They want to align with Web3 also. They want to learn this emerging technology that we have also in our space. So it's
Mhm.
very busy year.
Love it. Yeah, you guys are doing phenomenal work. And if people want to get involved in the local events with universities and um, with you guys directly, what's the best way to do that? And also, um, can people from other countries be part of the online events, or is there like a language barrier, or do you also do English?
What's the good thing with Filipino is English is also a basic language to us.
Mhm. Right.
So it's not hard in that aspect. So of course, we have offline and online events like we have initiative like Tech Kwentuhan. It's a Filipino term for language for like discussing about technology. So we invite. Of course, we're hoping that we could invite Zeta Chain, some of your developers or what, so that because we're creating also like a developers community. We've been running like 1 year DDC as a user centric. We created events, but this 2024 we are somehow pivoting also to create another arm, what we call the developers community, so that we can foster builders on the in the industry itself. So they need to learn in that aspect. So we're really open to collaborate for like some webcasts or like for example workshops online like that webinar.
100%. Yeah. And I've been meaning to reach out. We have to do another event and we'll sponsor it. And we can certainly do a tech talk and bring in Dennis, whom you heard from previously. So, yeah, 100%. Anything else to share about how people can get involved, upcoming events, where you guys need help?
Yep. We're very active on Twitter and also on of course actually it's supposed not to be, but we're still active also in Facebook because majority of the Filipino people are embedded on social media and Facebook, and
Mhm.
we try to reach out them. That's why we also use Facebook for the meantime. But of course, we're educating them to get onboarded with Discord, Telegram, and also Twitter or the social media of Web3. But we need to reach out by Facebook. So we have a Facebook page also locally, which we interact also, and we have our own Discord also. So yeah, just DM us. We'll be happy to assist and get you onboarded of some of our events that we plan for 2024.
Amazing. Um, Yeah, thanks for staying up late and hopping on. It's great to reconnect. Everyone, that's Ruben, Zeta Chain, head of Philippines, also founder at the Web3 nonprofit DDC. Thanks for joining, Ruben.
Thank you for having me, Sir Jonathan. Good evening. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening. Yes. Well, everyone, thanks for tuning in. That's Zeta Radio, 30 days into Mainnet. It's crazy how much work has been accomplished and progress made over the first month. And the foundation is really good to build on in 2024 and the years to come. to realize this omni-chain blockchain vision, and hope you learned a lot from the great developers building in the ecosystem. And there's a ton more that I hope to feature on future Zeta Radios. So cheers and have an awesome day. Thanks.